All right, we will go ahead and get started. I will call this meeting to order. The purpose of this meeting is to consider the appointment of Dr. Gerard Hollins as the Director of the Department of Revenue. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Clancy.
Here.
Councilmember Gray.
Present. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Councilmember Days.
Here.
Councilmember Dunaway.
Present.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Councilmember Fitch.
Here.
Councilmember Tracus. Councilmember Harder. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Diane. The committee takes official notice of and admits into evidence all St. Louis County ordinances and resolutions. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Gerard Hollins, who is the appointee as the Director of the Department of Revenue, who is awaiting council confirmation. Dr. Hollins, please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Gerard Hollins. I want to thank you for this opportunity. Let me just give you a little bit of background about myself. For the last 3 years, I've been the financial advisor to the Board of Aldermen, City of St. Louis. In that role, I was the sole fiscal advisor to all 29 members of the Board of Aldermen, primarily advising them on the city's budget, all economic incentives, all large construction, city construction projects, including the new soccer stadium. And also as part of that position, I sat on or was appointed to the airport privatization. I was on the 4 voting members of that project. And then separately, the mayor of City of St. Louis appointed me to as a trustee to the city's largest pension, which I served for a year. Prior to joining City of St. Louis, I worked for the County of Los Angeles, where I was part of the public finance department within the treasurer's office. And in that role, I was one of several analysts that ran bond transactions for the County of Los Angeles. Prior to that, I'd spent 12 years working in the financial services industry, both in commercial real estate, roles in commercial real estate, and commercial and private banking. Just so you know, I am a native of St. Louis County, born and raised in Northwoods, Missouri, spent most of my K-12 education in the Norby School District. I'm a proud graduate of Luther North High School in North County, class of 1992. I went on to get my BA in business administration from Morehouse College, received an MBA from the Harvard Business School in Boston, and also received a doctorate in policy planning and development from the University of Southern California.
Thank you, Dr. Hollins. Quite an extensive introduction. We appreciate that. And thank you for your willingness to serve in this important position. At this point, I would like to turn it over to my fellow council members for any questions that they may have of you. Anyone?
Oh.
Councilman Fitch.
Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Hollins. Welcome back to St. Louis County.
Thank you.
Just a couple questions for you. I noticed that you're trustee on the retirement system of the city. Are you still going to maintain that role?
No, I've resigned that role.
Okay, so that's no longer. Okay, and then how about, are you still teaching at the Brown School?
Yes, I am.
So you'll continue that?
Yes, I teach in the evenings.
Okay, so that's away from county time, and
yes, sir.
You're allowed to do that. I believe. I can't remember. I know there's some positions in county government that it says something like your entire time has to be devoted to your office, but yours doesn't do that. Did you verify
that? Yes.
Okay. All right. And let me ask you this. I think it's an improvement leaving the city of St. Louis and coming to St. Louis County. What made you decide to do this?
One, I wanted to come home. You know, I'm born and raised in the county. I wanted to work for the county. Two, this is a much broader role and allows me to grow in my professional development and actually contribute in a larger role to the region. I think that St. Louis County is the heart of the St. Louis region, and to be a part of that was to be a part of the growth of St. Louis County is something I wanted to be a part of.
Okay. And the role that you just left at the Board of Aldermen, was that an appointment served at the pleasure of the Board of Aldermen? Is that what that was?
Yes, Councilman.
So you're
It
in the
was.
same position now as serving at the pleasure of the county executive if you're confirmed.
Correct.
Are you familiar with why the previous director of revenue departed?
I am not.
Okay. And neither am I. I've never heard. We just knew he disappeared and didn't know what happened there, or he decided to quit, or what happened. So,
Madam
Yeah.
Chair, Madam Chair, I would just caution the council members that employment matters related to employees no longer with the county government were not noticed up on this meeting, so that would fall outside of the scope of
and my reason for asking that is I didn't want him to fall into any kind of similar situation if there was a situation that jeopardized his position. That was the only reason for even asking Dr. Hollins if he was aware of why the previous director departed.
And that very well may be true about your reasoning, Councilman Fitch, but we still need to be mindful of what's been publicly noticed. So
Okay.
I appreciate your cooperation with that. Thank you.
All right, and that's all I had. That's the only questions I have.
Madam Chair, I have a couple questions.
Yes, Councilwoman Days.
Yes, Dr. Hollins, how did you find out about this position, and did anyone ask you to apply or for this position?
I was contacted by Michael Chapman about the position. He reached out to me directly via phone about the opening.
Okay. In your introduction, I believe you mentioned something about the airport privatization. You're serving on that particular board. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, Councilwoman. I was the way it was structured. It no longer is in existence, but the way it was structured is that there were 4 voting members that, if that process would have moved forward, would have made the recommendation to the ENA board and the Board of Aldermen. I was President Reed's appointee. The mayor of City of St. Louis had an appointee. The comptroller of the City of St. Louis had an appointee. And the 4th appointee was the city's budget director, Paul Payne. And we were the 4 voting members of that project and ran that project for the city. But that project is no longer in existence.
Well, I don't know about the project, but I think the idea of privatization is still there. But let me just ask you this. Are you associated with anything to do with the privatization of the St. Louis airport?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions for Dr. Hollins from anyone else on the council?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Councilman Tracus.
Thank you. Mr. Hollins, thank you for coming. I'm going to follow up on Councilwoman Days' question with airport privatization. How long did you serve that body?
We were in, I believe, a little over 2 years. We were on going into the mayor end of the project. I believe it was right before Christmas of last year.
And your title with respect to that body?
Appointee. President Reed's appointee.
Okay. So you didn't serve in any, I don't want to use the word official. What I'm going to use is administrative function, president, vice chairman, anything like that?
No. There were voting members, and then the head of the committee was the city's budget director.
Were you a voting member?
Yes, I was a voting member. I was one of 4 voting members.
Okay. And it's fair to say, at least while the time that you served on that body, you were supportive of the idea of airport privatization?
I was open to looking at it. In my humble opinion, we did not get to a point where we could make a decision of whether or not it was something to recommend to the board or not. So my position was always it was something to examine, and I never got beyond that point.
And I apologize, I missed your introduction. and comments, so I apologize for that. So I may have touched on some redundancies. And then I guess my last question is, are you a county resident?
No, I live in the city, but I do plan to relocate to the county as soon as my lease expires next August. And I'm a St. Louis County. I grew up in St. Louis County. I'm born and raised in Northwoods.
Okay.
Attended most of my K through 12 was in the Normandy School District, and I graduated from Lutheran North High School in North County.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your patience with me. I apologize if I touched on ground you've already covered. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Any other questions? I will ask a few questions. Dr. Helens, how long have you been serving as acting director?
I started last Monday, so this is my 6th day.
So day 6, you're probably drinking from a fire hose, although certainly with your extensive background, there are a lot of things that you are seeing probably that you know a lot of things about. But I guess I would be curious about what your impressions have been over the first 5.5 days in this role, and then how that is informing what your vision for this department is.
Thank you. One, I'm very impressed with the organization, with its capabilities and its level of diversity and inclusion. I would say that the things I really want to focus in on one is customer service, really looking to build a customer or a taxpayer-centric organization. The other thing is looking at not all of our services are accessible to constituents online. And so one of my goals long-term is that every service, whether it be a license or being able to pay a certain type of tax, that a taxpayer can do that from the comfort of their home and not have to physically come into our Clayton, South County, West County, or North County locations. So that will be a big focus of my leadership here, is automation, making it easier for taxpayers to access us online. And then also that makes it safer for our workers. And I'll just leave you with the last really, and another very important function will be employee satisfaction, and really looking at ways that we could quantify how employees feel about working for the Department of Revenue and things we can do to improve that. And so over time, working with the HR department, I'd like to basically create a voice of the worker survey, and survey all employees on an annual basis about their happiness in the workplace, and use that as a management tool to improve their satisfaction with their employment with the county.
Excellent. I know one of the things that was surprising to me when I came onto the council almost 2 years ago, we often hear, I guess, during property tax season at the end of the year and the beginning of the year from our constituents, usually related to customer service issues and processing from the Department of Revenue. And I was so surprised to learn about how much is still processed manually instead of through automation. It seems like there's a lot of ways where you could collaborate with our IT department on helping to make some of our processes more smooth and efficient. So I'm eager to figure out how the council can help you with those things as well.
I look forward to working with the council on
Excellent.
that. And I think being able to, just for obviously with the pandemic and having the ability for our constituents not to have to physically come into the office is important for the safety of taxpayers as well as for employees, and also will allow us from a financial standpoint to stay lean as far as the workforce is concerned. And also, the stronger we have technology gives us more capabilities as far as allowing employees to either work in the office or work from home, which also will improve, I believe, will improve efficiency of employees as well as their job satisfaction.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments for Dr. Hollins?
I have a question.
Yes, Councilwoman Gray.
With regards to the last statement and a couple of previous statements, I understand there's been some struggles or challenges with customers being able to call for information. I was maybe in the beginning of the pandemic, but not, not exactly that far back. Has that been rectified? Do you have, I don't know if you needed more people answering those calls or in here? Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, it is my understanding that has been rectified, but I will follow up on that. I know there are two call centers. There is the Department of Revenue's call center, and there's the 311 call center. And I
Right.
think there were some issues between the transfer between the two call centers.
Right. And also with the elderly customers not being able to utilize the online
Right.
systems, such as, or actually not being able to email, not having that capability. Is that going to be addressed?
Yes.
And I was also, someone talked to me about, I know there's a limit with the number of people who can be downstairs. And so at this point, there are people outside waiting to pay taxes and things like that. In a month, maybe, or so, it's going to get cold. So wanted to make sure you thought about that.
Yes.
You're going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, we've already started discussions with the Department of Administration, who actually runs the service center on the street level on the first floor of what we can do. So obviously we will have, Department of Revenue will have more people physically down in the service center too. We're talking to parks about particularly bringing in tents and heaters. We also are looking at doing a communication campaign to get those people who are capable to do stuff online, but we are currently working with the office or the Department of Administration to address those issues and gearing up for busy season.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question, Madam Chair. I think you're on mute, but I can read your lips.
Yes, Councilwoman Donovan.
Hi, thank you so much for being here and welcome home. I spent a good many years in LA, so hopefully we can have a sidebar about that at some point. I'm interested, I believe you were on a team that developed and implemented a PACE program in LA. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was part of the team that implemented the program. I wasn't part of the selection process of selecting the two providers that provided the program. I helped implement it within the county. As far as the processing of documents, as you know, as part of PACE, you have to record documents. We also issue loans. I helped write the customer protection, the manual, so the actual consumer manual, a lot of the customer protections. I wrote the actual first draft of that and oversaw that as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about the PACE program.
Great. I will, if you don't mind, I'm going to follow up and schedule some time to chat with you about that.
Yes. It was an interesting process. It turned out to be a much larger program than people involved thought. I think in the first week, we issued about 6 million in loans, and it pretty much stayed at that level my whole time at LA County. So there's a lot of LA, as you know, from a real estate market, is a very interesting market. There's a lot of pent up demand, and there's a lot of what I would say deferred capital in people's houses, even in your poorest areas, like in the south part of LA, like Compton and those areas, houses still sell for $500,000. And so it created a lot of demand of people trying to pull the equity out of their house, which was good and bad, and it did create problems, as you may be aware of.
Yeah. I look forward to learning more about your experience there. So thank you.
Are there any public comments, Diane?
No, Madam Chair, there are no public comments for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any recommendation, a motion for a recommendation or a motion for adjournment from anyone else on the council?
I would like to make the recommendation that we approve Dr.
Hollins.
Dr. Hollins.
I'll second it.
Jeez.
Recommendation motion made by Councilwoman Gray to make a recommendation that we approve Dr. Hollins at tonight's meeting, seconded by Councilman Fitch. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, I'm hearing none. The motion carries. Dr. Hollins, we will be taking action to approve you at tonight's meeting per the recommendation of the committee of the whole here.
Thank you.
Is there a motion for adjournment?
I think Councilwoman Days has a question. She's on mute.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I did not go through with the recommendation. I did vote no on that simply because I have not had an opportunity to dig a little deeper into Mr. Hollins' background. And what I find may be very well, but I'm a little nervous about continuing to accept what we've been handed as the gospel. We've been bitten a couple of times about the recommendations, and so I just wanted to go on record as I'm going to abstain from that if that comes to a vote. So thank you.
Okay,
Madam
thank
Chair.
you, Councilman Days. I apologize. I did not hear your vote from you. Can we make sure the record reflects that?
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Tracus.
Thank you. I just want to state for the record that I too abstained, and I concur completely with Councilwoman Days on this.
All right. I didn't hear your vote either. You may have also been on mute. So
Madam
we can make
Chair,
sure the record reflects that. Yes,
Madam
Diane.
Chair, I want to be clear in the record that Councilwoman Days voted no on the motion to recommend, and Councilman Tracus is abstaining from the motion. Is that what I heard?
I said abstention initially, but I am voting no. Yes, no.
You're voting no on the motion to
Correct.
recommend.
To recommend.
Okay.
That is correct.
And Councilman Tracus is abstaining from that vote. Correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair, I'm
Thank
good.
you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Everyone off mute? Okay. I'm hearing none. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Dr. Hollins.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Thank you.
Take care.